Hello, everybody. Welcome to your Sunday edition of The Expendable Show. I'm your host, The Expendable. So it snowed today in Atlanta, but it was melted off by like 11 a.m. So I kind of look at it as like a no harm, no foul kind of thing. I went to the gym, and which my morning was insane. So there, with all this stuff going on in Greenland, and we're going to talk about it here in a little bit, but the international media is now catching up to this. So for the last probably 12 hours, I've been on the news probably 4 or 5 times now. And so I got up and I went to the gym this morning. I just finished my cardio, and then my phone rings. Oh, sir, we need you to come on and talk about Greenland. I'm like, oh man, fine. Didn't even get, it's leg day. Sunday's always leg day for me. I didn't get to do any legs today. So I got in the car. I said, give me about 20 minutes. So I drove home. On the way home, it starts snowing. I'm like, what is going on? We got snow. I couldn't even finish my gym day. But then I ended up being on the news like 2 more times after I got home. Hey, Rachel. So it was a busy day. I did do some spots for a new news outlet called News X World, which they're from India as well. They watched me on another news spot that I did, and they liked what I had to say. They challenged me. I was pretty. You didn't. How did Kentucky not get snowed on? And we got snowed on in Atlanta. I was just talking to one of my friends in Birmingham, Alabama, and they're like, we didn't get snowed on either. Like, what, did the snow miss the whole United States and just hit Atlanta? You know what? It's weird because I had somebody on the north side of Atlanta tell me we didn't get any snow up here. And my daughter lives like up close to the South Carolina border. And she told me today, she's like, did you get snowed on? I said, yes. She's like, we didn't. I'm like, how? You live up in like the hills. How did you not get snowed on? Same thing with you Kentucky folk. I feel maybe my town is the only town in America that got snowed on. No. I take that back. I was talking to my friend in New York this morning as well, and they got snowed on in New York while I was on the phone talking to her. So there's a little. All I did was talk to people on the phone all day. I'm so burnt. I want to take my phone and just throw it. I'm just tired of being on the phone. But let's get to the sponsors. I've been forgetting. This show is brought to you by Gatsby Trading Solutions and the Islamabad Telegraph. Watch my articles. I just submitted one. It hasn't been published yet. It's about how Canada and China are in some kind of love fest now since they don't want to do a tariff deal with us. So let's go through our statistics. We're gonna have a big show, and I'm probably gonna piss off a lot of people by the end of the show today. Just so everybody knows, I'm giving you a spoiler alert. If you have emotions, you probably need to just turn the show off, because I'm gonna stomp on those emotions today for some people, and I can't help it. I got called balls and strikes. So gas went back down again. So we're on an average 282. We were at like 248 here in Locust Grove, Georgia. So we're seeing some good gas prices here. The national average continues to go down. It did spike up a little bit, but now we're heading back downward. Mortgage rates are at 5.990. Hopefully that gets under control here pretty soon. Trump dropped a little bit on his approval rating this week. He's at 42.4. And on Friday, the Dow Jones closed at $49,359.33. So that's where we're at on our statistics. I may start tracking some of the polling for some of the races coming up in 2026. I know we've got some key races here in Georgia with John Ossoff is getting ran against. So that's something. Oh, my dad said Ohio got snowed on. Okay, so Ohio got snowed on, but it skipped Kentucky. I ain't really talked to anybody in Tennessee lately, so I don't know if they got snowed on or not. But Ohio got snowed on, New York got snowed on. It skipped Kentucky, and may or may not have hit Tennessee and then hit the southern part of Georgia. I think Macon got snowed on today too. If I saw it correctly on the news, I'm pretty sure Macon, which is further south from me, closer to Florida. Indiana got snow. Rachel says Indiana got snow. You guys can keep it. I tried to I was outside trying to blow it back north and it just didn't go. It stuck. I was surprised. It stuck for a little bit. I was kind of surprised. Bonnie has a weather theory. So Kentucky is not cold enough for snow to stick in Kentucky because they're living in hell. That's a plausible theory, Bonnie. I can't argue with that. We're going to talk about that. So let's go over some of the updates. It seems like every day stuff in Minnesota, there's more and more stuff to talk about. So one of the right-wing influencers that was pardoned for the J6 stuff, his last name's Lang, but he was stabbed today or last night by some lefties. He was out there, doing his thing, and he's a little extreme. So, and he does wear Kevlar. So, hey, Linda. And so I think he kind of knows that eventually somebody was going to take a shot at him, and they did. So he did get stabbed. So, the tolerant left strikes again, but yet it's Donald Trump's fault that he got stabbed somehow. That there's no accountability for the people that actually commit the crime. We'll just blame President Trump. Seditious conspiracy to cause others to stab people. But no, can't be held accountable for your own actions. That's not the liberal way. We got to blame Donald Trump. Orange man bad. So last night in Minnesota, so as we know, this all stemmed as a federal officer shot the lady. You know what? It's sad to me because I try to be sympathetic towards human life. But knowing what I know, seeing the videos that I've seen that everybody has seen and developed my opinion on it. I for some reason my brain just can't retain her name, and I think it's because she's wrong, so my brain doesn't process it, But Nicole Good. Renee Nicole Good. I did type it out on my outline, so I didn't see that at first. So she was shot by ICE. She tried to, whether she maliciously tried to do it or not, she did hit an ICE officer. And that is considered an act of violence towards an officer. In my opinion, he had every right to open fire. That I believe it was justified. Now, I'm not the FBI. I'm not Homeland Security. So don't go and tell me I'm wrong. I just know what I see, and from my own law enforcement background, what my opinion is on that. And I see her because she committed about 4 or 5 felonies before she even hit that officer. So she became a dangerous felon before the car even hit that officer. Yep. And when you're all paid to be out there, that's what they need to do is go poll and find out how many of those protesters actually live in Minnesota to start checking IDs. So since then, especially last night, ICE agents are being dealt with riots. The fireworks are being thrown at federal officers, which is explosives, which could be charged as attempted murder. There's tear gas and pepper spray being deployed. Federal vehicles are being damaged. DHS reported arresting an armed man carrying a gun and ammunition box during the unrest. So that could have turned into a huge disaster. The tolerant left. President Trump threatened to invoke the Insurrection Act if Minnesota leaders don't obey the law and stop what he called professional agitators. Minnesota officials, including the Minneapolis mayor, urged calm and criticized federal blah, blah, blah. Nobody cares about that State and city governments have filed lawsuits challenging the federal immigration crackdown and the surge of federal agents in Minneapolis. Now, Tim Walz has taken some new steps. I don't know if he's changing his rhetoric a little bit, because since he announced that I'm not going to run for governor anymore and his political career is virtually over, now all of a sudden he starts like making decisions that kind of half-ass make sense. So he issued a warning order to the Minnesota National Guard. It alerts 13,000 Guard members that they may be called up if unrest grows. Troops are checking equipment and preparing for rapid activation. So Tim Walz is preparing to activate the National Guard on the protesters that he got riled up to start doing these things. So this is the exact example of what I've been talking about with these protesters, of why I don't protest. You get fed a line of bullshit, you take the bait, you go at it 1,000%, and then the politicians who gaslit you, hey, I ain't got nothing to do with this. That's what happens. Y'all are suckers. So there's that. Protesters on that level for those types of things are suckers. So they're looking to mobilize the Guard to stage and support law enforcement. But in all the footage that I've watched, I have not seen a Minneapolis police officer in none of the videos. So I'm not real sure. The Guard's mobilized but not deployed. They're on standby at staging areas. They will assist local police only if requested. I'm sure Trump probably has the airborne ready to go, the 101st. So we'll see what happens in the upcoming days. I would imagine that if your governor's starting to kind of backpedal on you, and they're going to go, hey, Waltz really don't have our back now, that's probably going to make some of those protesters go, we better get out of here because we're going to get slaughtered out here. Metaphorically speaking, of course. I don't think Tim Waltz is going to slaughter people. So this allows coordinated response between state, local, and federal agencies. The fatal shooting of the 37-year-old woman by a federal immigration officer triggered protests, which I believe the protests are to be moot and irrelevant. Everybody should just go the hell home. So now we're going to so Tim Walz said he supports peaceful protest but warns against destruction. Well, he didn't do that in the George Floyd riots. His wife was like, Timmy, we open the window. I want to smell the city burn. And so they're like, I find it hard to believe that now all of a sudden he doesn't want his city to burn and be destroyed. But yet during the George Floyd riots, he was like, oh, perfectly okay with it. Maybe his wife's just a crazy, batshit crazy Looney Tune, which is seeing her speak during the presidential races. I would highly suggest that she's probably very Looney Tunes. Tim Walz has also criticized federal actions as governing by reality TV and urged Minnesotans not to give them a show. Too late. You gaslit them. You made them believe in this ideology that is not true. And they're going to believe every single thing you say. Every time you guys get on TV and you say Trump bad, your flunkies are going to go, get the torches and pitchforks. And that's what's going on. And now you have your people of Minnesota set up for failure, Tim Walz. I suggest everybody go home. Just go home. If anybody, I don't really have anybody from Minnesota. If Rob is here, if Rob watches the show, just yell down from Canada and tell them Minnesota people just to go home. That I said so. Just yell down from Canada. They'll hear you. There's nothing out there to block the sound from coming in. No mountains or nothing, I don't think. So let's talk about Iran and get a little update where we're at with that. So Iran's supreme leader has publicly acknowledged for the first time that thousands of people were killed during recent anti-government protests, according to the BBC, as President Trump escalated his rhetoric and called for new leadership in Iran. So the Ayatollah said, yeah, so what? I killed some people. And Trump's like, oh, yeah, well, we're going to have a problem. So Ayatollah Khomeini made the remarks during a public address Saturday, blaming the U.S. for the unrest and violence and saying some protesters died in an inhumane, savage manner. So the dude's coming out and admitting it. Like, yeah, man, I was chopping heads off and burning people alive. And, man, you don't even want to know. What's the one movie where they put the guy in the chair and they cut the little thing out, or they cut the seat of the chair out, and his testicles are hanging down, and they just keep whipping him underneath the chair? That's a rough way to go right there. I would just pass out, I think. So they're admitting it. The number is still kind of up in the air. I just saw on the news just a little bit ago where they're saying 5,000. I've seen the number 20,000. You never know when it comes to some of these Middle Eastern countries. The reporting is so it's so inconsistent that we don't really know exacts. So, he's admitting that he killed a lot of people. So I think we'll go with that. But U.S.-based Iranian human rights activist news agency estimated that more than 3,000 people were killed over roughly 3 weeks of unrest, though Iranian authorities have not released an official death toll. According to the BBC, nationwide interest shutdowns have made independent verification difficult, which they're having a tough time getting the internet up and running there. So roughly 2% of their population has internet connectivity. So videos authenticated by BBC Persian and BBC Verify show Iranian security forces firing on demonstrators during the unrest. So there's video footage that they were doing this. Trump told Politico on Saturday that it's time to look for new leadership in Iran. After being read a series of hostile posts from Khomeini's X account accusing the president of responsibility for the violence. It's funny because the Ayatollah made a post on Twitter a couple days ago, and he did it in Russian. And I was watching Russia today, and they were making fun of him. They said his Russian sucks. You can tell he just Google translated it. I was like, yeah, you idiot. Even Russia's making fun of you. So what is he guilty of as the leader of a country? This is what Trump's saying. He said, what is he guilty of as the leader of a country is the complete destruction of the country and the use of violence at levels never seen before. Leadership is about respect, not fear and death. Trump went further in personal terms, telling Politico, the man is a sick man who should run his country properly and stop killing people. I think for the Ayatollah, it's too late. I think the Ayatollah's got to go. There's no, changing his mind or bringing him back over to the good side. I don't think he was ever really on the good side at any point. He's basically was living off of Hillary Clinton's gold deliveries and, being enabled by our CIA for all these years. So I just don't think you can come back from that. It's kind of like Randall Weddle's never going to turn into a good human being, no matter how much money he throws out there to everybody. So his country, Trump went on to say his country is the worst place to live anywhere in the world because of poor leadership. Trump has previously urged Iranians to continue protesting and take over institutions, saying that help is on the way. As far as what kind of help that is, I'm not sure. I don't know if this is going to be another one of those kind of in and out scenarios like what we did with their nuclear sites. I would guess that's what we're probably looking at, but I'm not in the cabinet, so don't quote me on that. That's what I would think, though. Pete Hegseth seems to be very good at rapid response and minimizing casualties. So we'll see what happens. Now, on to Greenland, because that seems to be the world's topic for the last 24 hours. It's all I've talked about, and I've had to argue with people on international news all day about it. Because they're so concerned that President Trump is going to send the military into Greenland. If anybody's ever been in the business world, has ever had to negotiate a deal, you're going to, it's like using the Overton window in politics, but in the business world. You're going to throw out your top, like, this is the deal. This is what I'm starting with. This is my best price margin. And that's what he did. He said, if I got to go in with my military and take Greenland, that's what I'm going to do. So that's the negotiation point. Now it's going to be up to Europe and Denmark and Germany and all them socialist countries up in the Scandinavians to come and negotiate him down from there. I don't think that Greenland is going to turn into a United States territory. But I do think when this is all said and done, and I've made this internationally public, that this is my theory as to how this is going to go. Trump has backed them into a corner. He's controlled them monetarily. We are the largest consumers of goods in the world. So we have a vast advantage of their monetary flow. And Trump just added 10% tariffs on all those countries involved into saying no. So he's going to strangle their economy now and strangle them into submission. Now, what I've explained to people is we have to take a step back at Greenland and look at this from a bird's eye view, because everybody's looking at this going, Trump bad, orange man bad, orange man bad. And they're in this like tunnel vision. What we need to do is not look at this as a right now scenario. Trump's not looking at this as a right now scenario. He's looking at this as I've got to get this national security situation taken care of, and I've got 3 years to get it done before the next president comes in and ignores it. Greenland is a strategic stronghold for any military action. And now that Canada and China have become butt buddies and they're just kicking it all the time and they're increasing their business dealings with each other, guess what? China is going to have a higher percentage of having immediate access to the Arctic Circle through Canada. If we don't have that, China is going to have the global vantage point throughout the Northern Hemisphere. Is that what we want to happen? No. Trump's thinking 10 years down the road. He's thinking 20 years down the road. He's thinking 50 years down the road. America needs a huge foothold in Greenland, as close to the Arctic Circle as possible, on that northern, maybe not so inhabitable part of Greenland, but enough to where a military installation can exist, a large military kind of situation can be there. So I think that that Europe is wrong here. And you look at Denmark. What have they done? What have they done with Greenland? Absolutely nothing. Yes, the Greenland people may be at peace, all 40,000 of them, but you have this massive land mass, and you've got a very, very, very minute population. If you do like per capita per square mile, it's next to nothing. I don't even know if you have a tenth of a person per square mile of Greenland. There's plenty of room for the United States to occupy a large portion of Greenland and not affect any of the local natives. So the 10% tariffs are starting February 1st. So Europe's got time. And I've already been hearing it on international news, on the BBC, on Euronews, that the European leaders are trying to come together to try to figure out what angle to go at President Trump to get him to come down on his demands. So they're already panicking, just like they always do. They did send troops there, but come on now. We're talking like a couple NATO countries versus the United States. Like, come on, get out of here with that. If you guys were so damn powerful, you wouldn't call us every time Russia throws a snowball over the border into Poland. Rachel, I have started to expand my reach to Australia as well, just recently in the last couple weeks. So I know where you're going with that, and I think that there may be something to that. They're very eager to get into our economy. The Aussies, they can leave them kangaroos over there. I've been watching them. Them kangaroos can fight. We don't need none of them kangaroos getting accidentally put in like a crate and put on a ship and brought over here. We got enough Looney Tune animals running around this country as it is. So there's all these things going on. President Trump made a post. He said, we have subsidized Denmark and all of the countries of the European Union and others for many years by not charging them tariffs or any other forms of remuneration. Now, after centuries, it's time for Denmark to give back. World peace is at stake. This is what the globe is not understanding. China is 20 years ahead of us in positioning. Russia can position very quickly. So this is a global safety issue. He said China and Russia want Greenland, and there is not a thing that Denmark can do about it. Facts. They currently have 2 dog sleds as protection. That's what Trump said. I don't know if that's true, but considering their population and their low GDP, I would think that may be a close adaptation of what Greenland is. 2 dog sled defense. Only Donald Trump would say something like that. So Trump went on to say, only the United States of America under President Donald J. Trump can play in this game, and very successfully at that. Nobody will touch this sacred piece of land, especially since the national security of the United States and the world at large is at stake. On top of everything else, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, France, Germany, and the United Kingdom, the Netherlands, and Finland have journeyed to Greenland for purposes unknown. This is a very dangerous situation for safety, security, and survival of our planet. So that's Trump calling them out, saying, hey, you want to get involved, it's not going to be a good deal for you. I mean, if Finland wants to get stupid, I would just say, hey, I no longer recognize your sovereignty against Russia. And then just let Russia take over Finland. Finland's deathly afraid of Russia. Hey, Putin. Yeah, Finland's part of Russia again. Yep, you're welcome. And that'll be the end of Finland. But that's me that's why no one will let me be dictator, because that's my mentality. Like, oh, you want to play with me? I'll let your enemies get you then. Which is basically how I do everything. I don't know if anybody's noticed that yet. So these countries who are playing this very dangerous game have put a level of risk in play that is not tenable or sustainable. Therefore, it's imperative that in order to protect global peace and security, strong measures be taken so that this potentially perilous situation end quickly and without question. President Trump is trying to show some strength. He's trying to show some diplomacy, but at the same time, add some trolling in there and to let them know, like, hey, you guys are clowns and you're in my way of initiating a successful defense of the Northern Hemisphere. Like, you guys stop playing games and get out of my way. Trump went on to say this tariff will be due and payable until such a time as the deal is reached for the complete and total purchase of Greenland. The United States has been trying to do this transaction for over 150 years. Many presidents have tried, and for good reason, but Denmark has always refused. He said, now because of the Golden Dome and modern day weapon systems, both offensive and defensive, the need to acquire is especially important. Hundreds of billions of dollars are currently being spent on security programs having to do with the dome, including for the possible protection of Canada. And this very brilliant but highly complex system can only work at its maximum potential and efficiency because of angles, meets, and bounds if this land is included in it. Now, need I remind you, some of you lefties that will eventually watch this episode, when you're crying about Russia's shooting hypersonic missiles that have the capabilities of carrying nuclear warheads at Ukraine and hurting the poor Ukrainian people, if the United States had a very strong Arctic stronghold, we could react to that a lot quicker and eliminate the threat. I don't know if you guys can process that. I know Donald Trump's come up with this idea and you don't like it automatically, but there's a lot of good we can do with that strategic positioning that y'all are like. I don't feel like being nuked because you guys don't like a president. That's stupid. Y'all are being stupid about this. The United States of America is immediately open to negotiations with Denmark and or any other countries that have put so much at risk, despite all that we have done for them, including maximum protection over so many decades. Thank you for your attention to this matter. I love how he ends everything like that. It's funny. So Danish Foreign Minister Lars Løkke Rasmussen said the tariff threats were a surprise given. Yeah, see, that hurt them. They didn't like that. It was a surprise. They didn't think they were going to get sanctioned like that. He said, given the constructive meeting with top U.S. officials, look, you're not going to come in here and you're not going to sugarcoat a conversation with President Trump. He wants to see you act. And what we know about the European Union, what we know about NATO, what we know about everything that happens over there is that whole region is all about talk and no action. President Trump knows that. He's calling them out. Like, I don't want to hear you talk. I want to see your action. And that's where he's getting with this. Now we are getting close to the World Economic Forum. President Trump is invited to that. He is planning on speaking and attending. Last year he did it by satellite, by virtual. And he gave them the tongue lashing that they needed and basically killed the whole mood for the whole the World Economic Forum that Governor Andy Beshear spoke at, telling him how great of a job he's doing at governing Kentucky. Same one, same meeting. So, French President Emmanuel Macron, who may or may not have a transgender wife. Hey, G bro. Pushed back against Trump in a social media post that seems to equate the threat to Russian leader President Vladimir Putin's war in Ukraine. He said, no intimidation or threats will influence us, whether in Ukraine, Greenland, or anywhere else. Listen, let me tell you a story about France. You guys haven't done not one single tough gangster thing since Napoleon Bonaparte was there. So I don't want to hear Emmanuel Macron talk about anything. Y'all get beat up by everybody who shows up to your front door, and then you go cry to the European Union and go, somebody help us, send NATO, President Trump, come help us. So that's anything Emmanuel Macron says is really not important. He is an unimportant. I wouldn't put him in the top 100 most influential country leaders in the world. France has no bite. They bark, but I'm pretty sure they're a dog that's 85 years old and has no teeth. So there's zero effect that France has on anything. So I'm not even sure. I shouldn't even have put the quote in there because nobody cares what Emmanuel Macron says, especially since it's a man, baby. Allegedly, of course. We don't know. Although they're struggling with getting Candace Owens to shut up about that. So it's starting to make me wonder that maybe it could potentially be true. He went on to say, tariff threats are unacceptable and have no place in this context. Well, guess what? We don't need your grapes. We've got a state in California that's full of grapes and wine. So you can take your expensive, overpriced, nasty, moldy grapes and keep them over there. So they don't like it because now they're going to lose money. Trump, this is exactly what I'm saying. Trump has them in checkmate. They're going to have to make the move to give Trump what he wants, give America what he wants, give the Northern Hemisphere what we need to have happen. So it's unclear how Trump would act under U.S. law, though he could cite emergency economic powers that are currently subject to a U.S. Supreme Court challenge. Trump has long said he thinks the U.S. should own the strategically located and mineral-rich island, which has a population of about 57,000 people, and whose defense is provided by Denmark. He intensified his calls a day after the military operation to oust Venezuela's Nicolas Maduro earlier this month. So let's look at a couple Denmark statistics here. Denmark has 21,000 active military troops. That's ferocious. I think the town of Locust Grove could probably whoop their ass with nothing. Civilian defense employees, they have 4,638. Reserve forces, 12,000. Home Guard volunteers, 51,000. Part-time domestic defense. You think them guys are going to show up to the front line against the United States of America? Nope. They're all going to magically get COVID at the same time, right before their deployment. And they have a whopping 800 people deployed abroad. So there's not even 50,000 or not, there's not even 100,000 people in their entire military. We have that at one base. So I'm not worried about anything that Denmark does, which it also poses the question of how easy would it be for China to take it? How easy would it be for Russia to take it, or any other country for that matter, to just say, hey, Denmark, and I highly doubt Denmark has any soldiers even stationed there, maybe a dozen. So what are they going to do when a large bomber just lands in their land and goes, hey, this is ours now, and plants the Chinese flag on the snow? Yes, Rachel, take your grapes and shove it. We don't need them. Our grapes are way better anyway. So let's look at Denmark's budget. So for 2025, they have a wait, hold on, I'm going to skip that. So Denmark ranks 45th out of 145 countries in military strength, which isn't very good considering a lot of countries are third world countries. The U.S. GDP is $31.1 trillion. The Denmark GDP is $431 billion. They are a tiny, tiny, tiny fraction of our GDP. So to fund anything that has to do with Greenland, it sounds like Denmark is going to have a tough enough time funding anything inside Denmark. U.S. military spending is $842 billion. Denmark's military spending, $36.2 billion. So they just don't, they can't functionally defend Denmark. That's a fact. Now, for all my Kentucky folks, the meat and potatoes, this is what is going to make some people mad, and I don't care, because if somebody doesn't do something, you're not going to have a London left or a Laurel County. So we're going to talk about it. I need people to start acting and stop acting like Europe. Like, stop talking, start acting. Talk is cheap. Acting shows that you're about that life. So let's go over it. So a Kentucky sheriff has full county-wide law enforcement authority. This poses true with many other states. When I worked in the sheriff's office, we had the same latitude. Our sheriff was the highest elected law enforcement official in the county. He had jurisdiction over any of the city municipalities. He could do whatever he wanted. If you're committing a crime in the city and he sees it, he can fully investigate and submit you to the prosecution's office. So there's a lot of power that a sheriff has in their community. The sheriff in Kentucky specifically has the legal power to arrest city officials, which is including mayors, city council members, etc., police chiefs, etc. City police officers if they commit a crime within the sheriff's jurisdiction. While on duty, of course. This is what they're talking about. If the police comes into the sheriff's office jurisdiction while on duty and they commit a crime, they can be arrested. I wonder how that would apply. There is no statute that exempts city personnel from arrest by a sheriff. Not one. The sheriff is the man. So let's go into this a little bit deeper. Kentucky sheriffs are constitutional officers with county-wide jurisdiction under Kentucky law. Sheriffs are peace officers with full arrest powers, authorized to enforce all state criminal laws anywhere in the county. They are not, and I repeat, not subordinate to city departments. City departments can be subordinate to the sheriff, which is why Randall Weddle wants Robbie Grimes to be sheriff so damn bad. City police, by contrast, have jurisdiction only within city limits and are subordinate to city government, hence city council. So there you go. City council, you have power over your police department. Just so you know, it's not Randall Weddle's police department. It is the City of London's police department. You guys can dismiss, penalize, subjugate to investigations, all of that kind of stuff. You guys have power that you are refusing to use. And all it takes is for you to say, Bobby Day, you're under investigation. You're under investigation, and you're under investigation. And bring in an independent investigator to investigate them. I can give you a referral. There's a very good one in Covington, Kentucky that will come down here that does a lot of your jurisdictions in Kentucky. That'll come down there and clean out your trash. Bonnie, they absolutely have that power. A police chief is not an elected official. A police chief answers to elected officials. The city council has that power. And in separation of powers, Randall Weddle does not own the police department. He's just a mayor. He's basically a figurehead, kind of like the King of England, where you're just a figurehead. But the real work gets done in the parliament. Our system is called parliamentary procedure because generally it's just like President Trump. He can only do so much without Congress. And Randall Weddle's powers are more limited than what the people are thinking that they are. He doesn't have expansive power to do all these things. The city council actually has more expansive power than the mayor. It's just a matter of everyone's afraid to use it. So when can a sheriff arrest a city official or city police officer? A sheriff may arrest them when a crime is committed in the sheriff's presence, including social media videos. This could mean DUIs, assaults, obstruction, intimidation, harassment. This applies to any law under the KRS. Well, and Linda, you're right. You're right. It's a fear thing. But this is my way of leveling the playing field and giving that accountability. Like everybody's like, you never go after city council. This is me saying, city council, you have an immense amount of power that you are not using. So it is partly the council's blame. I get it. If you guys are sitting in a part-time position and you all have full-time jobs that pay your bills, I get it. But at the same time, there's a whole other side of your community that's suffering. There's a whole other side of your community that's benefiting from tyranny. At some point, somebody has to swing the bat. Look, if one person succumbs due to Randall Weddle or any of his flunkies that are worthless, which is everyone under him, they're going to bring a shitstorm that they don't want, that Randall Weddle can't snitch his way to the FBI out of. So that's and that's exactly what it is, Linda. Do you want to live in scrutiny and fear and harassment over a part-time job as city council? However, this is the deal that you sign up for to serve your constituency upon accepting appointment or being elected in as a city council person. So this isn't going to be an automatic happy ending all the time. There's going to be conflict, and you're going to have to utilize conflict resolution, and you're going to have to figure out how to make it all work together without having a giant civil war. Now, I will give them kudos to how they've handled the last few city council meetings. Randall Weddle and Larry Bryson, that old dinosaur of a lawyer that can barely stand and walk, like Scrooge McDuck. They tried to bait city council the last couple times, and luckily city council has come up with a very effective strategy to just stick to decorum. That's exactly what they need to do. Don't fall into the negativity. Don't fall into the bullshit. Just stick to decorum. Get your agenda. Go down the list on your agenda. Don't let the outside distractions get you off of decorum, and just check off the issues on the list. So a sheriff can also arrest city employees if there's probable cause for a crime. John Root, I can show you a dozen probable causes for crimes on video. We'll get to that. A warrant, or if a warrant has been issued, they can arrest city employees if there's a warrant. Obviously, they have to honor the warrant, which that's pretty self-explanatory. This is an easy thing. So even though the peace officers, including sheriffs, may arrest any person who commits a crime in their presence, no Kentucky statute grants city officials or city police immunity from arrest by sheriffs. So the ultimate power, the person who is 100% at fault for the current circus that we have right now, is John Root. I'm going to say it. And it's going to piss a lot of people off. But when you look at it from a thousand foot view, that's where it lies. There's one person who has the power to walk in the room, put their foot down and go, "You, that's enough. You, that's enough. Keep it up," and people are going to jail. That's John Root. John Root has the stick. Now, sheriffs have the same arrest powers as any other police officers in the state. But when we're looking at jurisdiction, the sheriff has the biggest stick. Bonnie, it doesn't matter who's got the money. The money's irrelevant. You guys in your community are making money relevant. Money's not relevant in this. The power of the law is relevant. It doesn't matter if Randall Weddle shows up with 75 big city Frankfurt lawyers. John Root can still arrest him for any crime that and many of the felonies that he's committed right in front of the city's face. Rob, I was just talking about you. So I see that you guys are friends with China now. I was going to have you yell down in Minnesota and tell them to go home. That their protests really ain't worth anything. They should just go home. Just yell down there and say, "Hey, go home." But I see you guys are kicking it with China now. I don't even know what to say. That's more reason why America needs to take Greenland, because you guys are about to be speaking Chinese here pretty soon. Crazy. It's a crazy transition that's going on in this world right now. That was a good way to. No, not you. I already know. Rob's not turning Chinese. That was a good way to jump in the comments, though. You got me. I liked it. So sheriffs have a legal duty to enforce state laws. They have a legal duty to enforce state laws. I shouldn't have to sit here and make a video on how a sheriff should do his job. Like this is especially one that's been doing it for a long period of time. Now, I fully understand where John Root's mentality is right now. What it is it's an election year. It's probably going to be his last election. He wants to win, and he doesn't want to ruffle any feathers on his way there. He knows that he's got a decent opponent in Robbie Grimes that probably doesn't have the numbers to beat him because most of the Weddell people that support Robbie Grimes don't even live in the county or they live in the city of London. So the county support, but what John Root has to worry about is how many people is Rick Kaufman going to pull? Now, I did see an exchange of communications where John Root was basically hinting that he was going to go arrest someone on a warrant that's been evading arrest, which he's insinuating that it's Rick Kaufman who's running against him for sheriff. Now, if I'm Rick Kaufman and I have this baggage, I want to get the baggage over with. I want to hurry up and get in front of a court. I want to hurry up and get all my subpoenas put in place to subpoena the individual that has caused some of these issues and allow the courts to sort this out. Chances are this warrant is going to get pled down because that's what worthless prosecutors do. They go take a charge, they overcharge you, and then they plea you down just to get you out of court. I would want to get that done as fast as humanly possible. That's me, though. If I really want a shot, because that's going to come up as a campaign problem for Rick, where this guy, he's a criminal, he's a this, he's a that, he was on the run, he was this. Right, Rachel, put up or shut up. Sheriffs must. It's not a should. See that they when you read like state law books like the KRS in Ohio, we have the Ohio Revised Code, the ORC. The way they word it matters. If they say they should enforce state criminal laws, that's open for interpretation for the arresting officer. However, in KRS, it says they must enforce state criminal laws. Must is the key word. That says that he has to do it, that he doesn't get a choice. He's got to enforce state law. They cannot selectively ignore crimes based on who commits them. This is very, very elementary school police work. And it's getting ignored in London, Kentucky, and Laurel County. City employees, including city police, have no immunity from arrest by a sheriff. Facts. If a sheriff sees a crime occur and simply walks away or says, I don't want to get involved, that can raise serious legal and ethical issues. When failure to act becomes neglect of duty, and that is where John Root is writing that line right now, where he's neglectful towards the people of his county. The cries are out there, and he's ignoring them. Like I said, some of these people that are going to watch this are going to be diehard John Root people. I understand that. I respect that. You can vote for whoever you want. You can like whoever you want. I don't care if he's been your family friend for 75 years. I know what I'm seeing right now. I know what the power is that he has. I know the things that he said behind the scenes. that he's not doing on purpose. And that those things are those are going to fall back on him as the highest ranking law enforcement official in the county. This war with Randall Weddle is on him, is on John Root. This is John Root's war. And he's willingly letting this community destroy itself when he's got the biggest stick in the room, and he can swing it whenever he wants, and he refuses. The pain and suffering of Laurel County is at the feet of John Root. And I had made a promise, a deal, several months ago that I would leave John Root alone. And I'm refusing to do that at this point, because I sit up here and I preach ending corruption, and this is part of it. It's a huge part of it. It's the deciding factor of whether this community falls apart or comes back together. John Root has the opportunity to use this as a political win to come in and end this huge disaster that's going on and come out looking like a damn hero. But he refuses. It's a neglect of duty. He has a duty to the people to keep them safe. There is a large portion of this community that does not feel safe. Now, just to help things, here's crime number one that we're going to show. This happened in his building, in a county building. So, Officer Numbnuts, which I believe you're going to have to tell me who these people are, but this happened at a city council meeting. Randall Weddle did not want the city council meeting to take place, so he had some flunky go pull the fire alarm, which is illegal. And everybody knows who this guy is. I don't remember if he's a firefighter or whatnot, but all these people sat here and watched it happen. That's a crime. Nobody got arrested, though. Yeah, and by the way, Rick Kaufman is not at Bonnie White's house. Y'all are hunting the wrong state. Now, let's pull up video number 2. This one was just given to me recently. And we're advanced like bitches, didn't they? Oh, man. They could at least wait until I put it up there. So this is a video of one of the biggest violent provocateurs of the town, who continually breaks law after law after law that John Root never arrests him for. This London Police Department will not arrest him because they all go to the same Cobra Kai dojo together with J Money. I keep saying his name wrong. J Money, Jason Williams, whatever the hell his name is. He's irrelevant. He thinks he's relevant, but he's not. But he keeps committing crimes. He's like the guy that Weddle goes, hey man, go out there and do my dirty work for me, which is like he's part of the RICO case. But this guy continually harasses city council. He continually threatens and harasses everyone, and he still gets to walk the streets because he's built a conflict of interest with the London Police Department. He hangs out with former acting police chief Bobby Day, and which he is now Major Bobby Day. And you've seen him on video at several city council meetings, getting involved and helping harass people out in the parking lots, calling out people, disrespecting people. This guy is a cancer to this community. But here is a video that he didn't realize was being taken of him, but got leaked to me amongst several other people. So here it is. This is J Money talking. You'll see him pop up on the camera. If I was him, I would.
It's like we fucking just, dump on their asses. And just put it into them.
There's 3 of them in there.
Oh, really?
So, that's all of them.
That's all. But,
So for some context on that video, he's talking about going in and jumping on the three city councilmen that are in a building. They're outside waiting on city council because they follow them, they harass them, they stalk them. I've already shown you video footage of where Randall Weddle released it to the public of them stalking Donna, the city councilwoman Donna House. And this stuff is stuff that John Root should be putting a stop to. These are crimes being committed in his county. These are crimes being committed against elected public officials, appointed elected public officials. You're right, Rachel. This is disgusting behavior. And this is the situation where everyone is so scared of Randall Weddle that they do nothing. And you know who suffers? The taxpayers of Laurel County in London, Kentucky. The time to do something is now. I don't care if Randall Weddle's under federal protection. I don't care. Let them sort it out, but he's got to go. So there's a lot of backstory to it, Rob. And I can't get into all of the backstory because it's not 100% confirmed, but I have talked to some people that know a little bit more than I do. And I'm waiting on some more backstory, but there is a potential situation like that. But that's basically, there is the feds are enabling this as well. But it's John Root's county. It's not the FBI's county. It's not Homeland Security's county. It's not the CIA's county. It's not President Trump's county. It's John Root's county. He's the highest ranking elected official in that county. Start making arrests. Stop going after the meth heads. Yeah, I get it. It looks good on your little webpage where you arrest 75 meth heads every week. Go after somebody who's actually hurting your community, which I'm not saying the drugs don't hurt your community because they do, but you've got a war brewing on your watch. If this war erupts before the election, I'm going to make sure nobody in that county votes for you. I'm going to expose everything, and I got a stack. Do your job. But that's all we got for the Expendable Show today. I'm out. Peace.